Welcome to our Sligo GAA webinar mini-series. This webinar is on load management as we return to play and will be presented by Jack Haran, who is a student in Sligo IT and working with us here in Sligo GAA. So Jack, again, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Louise. So I'm going to bring you all through a return to play load management webinar, and this is just tips for managers and coaches helping their players safely and effectively return to play. So return to play load management. These are the kind of main considerations surrounding return to play, and this is the injury analysis, and I'm going to go through a few kind of similar situations to what we have just experienced and show the risk of injuries and how it can be increased as a result of this detraining, and the training itself and recovery. So injury analysis. The Bundesliga lockdown, which occurred in 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 outbreak, the athletes experienced a 66-day lockdown period, and this was followed by a subsequent 2.5-week pre-season training period. And as a result of the lockdown period, the in-game substitutes increased from 3 to 5, and this was to try to combat the risk of injury in these athletes. So just some statistics here from the Bundesliga last year. 33% of all injuries were muscular injuries. Over 12 injuries occurred in the athletes' first games back after postponement, and this can be seen on the graph here in the bottom right, that in the one athlete that played 0 games, the risk of injury was greatly increased. And as shown on the same graph, less than 1 injury occurred per game after 9 games, which just shows when training is increased, the risk of injuries can properly decrease. And the injury rate prior to the postponement was 0.27 injuries, and then this was increased to 0.56 injuries per game following the return to play. Another similar situation was the NFL lockout in 2011. The lockout lasted from March 11th, 2011 to July 25th, 2011, and this was as a result of pay disputes. The athletes were only given a 17-day preseason period, and this is compared to the usual 14-week preseason in the NFL, which is the recommended time period. So the NFL lockdown injury analysis. Between 1997 and 2002, 35 Achilles tendon ruptures were recorded, and this is an average of 5 ruptures per year. This is shown on the graph on the left-hand side. You can see 5 injuries, 2 in the preseason and 3 on average throughout the course of the actual season. And in the first 12 days of the 2011 lockout preseason, 10 ruptures were recorded, with 2 more occurring after 2 weeks of preseason. And this is shown on the graph, which just shows the stark differences when proper preseason is done. So certain injury considerations surrounding return to play. Athlete deconditioning paired with increased levels of enthusiasm can increase risk of injury, as the athletes are excited naturally and go running around and this can increase the risk of injury. Growth spurts increase in teenage athletes during periods of inactivity, which can also lead to increased soft tissue injury. Potential reduction in coordination due to lack of skill implementation can also increase injury, so these are important considerations when returning to play. So the training itself. Intensity of training should start low and increase gradually to higher intensity levels, and this is to protect the athletes and reduce the risk of injury and overtraining. Safety. Training should follow restrictions and guidelines while preventing unnecessary injury, and this is obviously just to prevent any unnecessary injury and to combat the COVID pandemic also. Recovery. Athletes should be given sufficient time to help recover, to help make proper adaptations and prevent any avoidable injuries. So intensity. Dynamic warm-up, such as the GAA 15 warm-up, can allow athletes to mobilize joints, raise heart rate, and activate muscles to prepare them properly for the session ahead. Training type. Due to limited time frames, training should be specific to the sport and aim to prepare the athletes' bodies for the demand of playing games. And training duration and frequency. Training should gradually increase in frequency and duration, and an example of this could be 2 45-minute light sessions during the week in week 1, and this could increase to, say, during week 3, 2 1-hour moderate intensity sessions, just to kind of gradually keep it going. Safety considerations. should ensure athletes report any feelings of unwellness during or prior to the session. Training methods should follow restrictions and guidelines while preventing unnecessary injury, as I said before. And recovery. Athletes should be given sufficient time to fully recover to help make adaptation and prevent injury. So recovery itself. Rest is very important. Athletes should aim for at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night to aid recovery and performance. The nutrition side of it. Athletes are recommended to eat higher protein diets upon return to activity to help repair muscles to limit injury and soreness associated with this return. Hydration levels. Hydration should be monitored by urine colour where possible, and it is recommended for athletes to drink at least 2 to 3 litres of water per day. And again, thank you. That's all from me. So here's our social media pages, and there are my contact details there as well. So thank you.